Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. All right, he's been on the program before, and he gets back on again because he's a lot of fun talking about what's happening out there, and he's always very interesting. Frank Vernuccio. He is with usagovpolicy.com. That's usagovpolicy.com. And you think there may have been a cover-up when it came to Benghazi, and the media doesn't seem to care. Welcome to the program.
Great to be with you.
Yeah. So I'll talk about this, the Benghazi cover-up. By the way, Benghazi, what the heck is that? No one ever hears that story anymore. Whatever happened to the Benghazi story? That was swept under the rug rather neatly.
Well, that's exactly the problem, and there's so many unanswered questions. I had a chance to talk last Saturday with Colonel Andrew Wood, who was the Special Forces soldier in charge of security at Benghazi right before the attack, and he had some fairly startling things to say. During his tenure, he repeatedly asked for more safety, more security measures, and was constantly turned down by the State Department. He was also told while he was there that should an attack occur, there were abundant resources, Marines, Army, Air Force, Navy, that could come to the rescue if necessary. But we all know what happened on September 11, 2012. Mm-hmm. The embassy was attacked, or rather the Special Mission Compound, as it was called, was attacked, and absolutely no one came to the aid of our ambassador. What makes it even stranger is that drones were monitoring this event as it took place. But we know there are two types of drones, those that are unarmed and those that are armed. For some reason, it was unarmed drones that were hovering over the site. And the question has to be asked, why didn't the administration send someone to help out the Americans who were trapped there?
Yeah, that is a good question, and it doesn't appear like anyone's going to answer it. Do you know if there's anything being done, like in a House Oversight Committee with Daniel Issa? Is anyone asking questions? Of course, in my opinion, Daryl Issa and that committee did such a ridiculously poor job in dealing with the whole Fast and Furious issue. I mean, they wait until so late that they look like it's politically motivated. When you wait years on something that's as alarming as Fast and Furious, and now what? We're now 8 months now into the Benghazi affair, or 7 months into the Benghazi affair. When you wait that long, it does look political.
Well, you make a great point, but something is attempting. Some people are attempting to do something about it. Two very powerful forces, in fact. Number one, Representative Frank Wolf, who's from Virginia, is attempting to put together, thanks to his legislation, House Resolution 36, a bill which would establish a joint Senate and Congressional Investigatory Committee exactly similar to what happened during Watergate to find out what happened in all this. Now, he wants to have access to those folks who survived the incident, but for some reason have been kept away from the press and even kept away from other branches of government by this administration.
Okay, so that's the first one. What's the other one?
The other one is 700 retired members of the Army Special Forces have banded together in an organization called Special Operations Speaks, and they're attempting to pressure elected officials to investigate what went on in Benghazi and why our people weren't rescued there when the United States clearly had the military power to do so.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit about the Frank Wolf. Where's he at in that process? Is he making any progress? And by the way, what committee is he a member of? I know Frank Wolf. In fact, I know him personally. He was up there when I worked in Washington, D.C., kind of a moderately conservative Republican, nice guy. But where is he at? He is on the House Foreign Relations Committee, actually, I think, or the House Intelligence.
He's able to put together a group of 74 congressmen, 74 members of the House of Representatives, who are demanding that this resolution gets passed. And he's also enlisted the aid of Senator John McCain, who's trying to go at it from the Senate side. Between the two of them, they're hoping in the very near future to pressure the administration to break loose and finally come clean with the information.
Yeah, and I guess those guys are doing it because they're considered, quote, reasonable, more reasonable guys, especially John McCain. I could see them both trying to pursue that, and maybe they can make more progress than a more polarized member of Congress could do. And so where are they in that process? Obviously, they're still trying to get witnesses. To have an event like this without witnesses, that would be funny in not a very funny sort of way.
Well, you're absolutely right. But again, they have to get the resolution through Congress first, and they have to set this up. Unfortunately, this has become super political for two very important reasons. Number one, it's very difficult to see how this would not royally embarrass the President of the United States. There was clearly a screw-up. Part of the major problem was the insistence on the part of the administration that this obscure, little-known video had something to do with this. Even Al Jazeera, which I monitored during the crisis, said that no one in the Arab world even knew this video that the president insisted on talking about existed. So that was clearly a misstatement on the part of the president. Number two, the other person who would be royally embarrassed by this, of course, is the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party for president in the next election, Hillary Clinton. It's difficult to see how she comes out of this whole incident unscathed, particularly considering her prior appearance before Congress when, of course, she famously said, "What does it matter? You know, this is all over with and done with." So clearly two very, very powerful people, the former Secretary of State and the next presidential candidate, as well as the sitting President of the United States, have every motive to keep this thing under wraps.
Yeah, so is there any, mainstream type media? I almost said legitimate. I don't believe they're legitimate, but those that are considered legitimate, sadly, by our larger culture, are there any mainstream media that is taking an interest in this story to get anything out there? I think, Fox News is probably the biggest large media to say anything about it. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, you started off your comments at the top of this segment by saying that, we don't hear much about this, and you're absolutely right. For reasons that I think are more partisan than anything else, a lot of the major media has not reported on this at all. And Fox News has started to report on it once again. I think the bombings in Boston have revitalized interest in this whole incident. So as the special operations people get together and as Frank Wolf gets his legislation ready, hopefully we'll get a lot more interest.
Yep, absolutely. I hope so too. I'm just in shock. I've had members of the House Oversight Committee on this program assuring me that things were being done and that they believed that there would be some deliberate action on Fast and Furious. And I think it's been over a year since we've had a member on anymore. I think they're embarrassed to talk about it anymore. This GOP can't seem. The members of the GOP can't seem to get traction when it comes on these issues. And I don't just blame them. I blame the media a lot on this. They don't care.
Well, you're absolutely right. Again, you have to make the contrast with Watergate, which was actually a far lesser scandal than this. At least no one died. Oh, far.
Nobody died. Nobody died in Watergate. I keep reminding people that. Whereas there's been a lot of people die in Fast and Furious, and people have been died due to the Benghazi incident, and people don't seem to care. And that drives me nuts. Frank Vernuccio, good guy. Glad to have you on the program again. USAGovPolicy.com. Look forward to having you back on in the future.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it.
When we come back, we're going to have more for you right here on The Price of Business.